Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, the place to laugh, sip on a little wine, and have open and honest conversation. Here you will find the tools to resolve real life issues. Unwind, pour up a glass, and get ready to exhale. Tish, tell the people a little bit about yourself before we jump into this amazing conversation.
22 years ago, I was working full time, raising two kids, 30 pounds heavier, and was like, you know what? You better work on something or you're going to be in deep trouble. So I so I joined Curbs. It was, a very new franchise, women only, 30-minute workout facility. And I started working out with a girlfriend of mine, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. I can do anything for 30 minutes. And then a few months later, the business came up for sale, and I had been praying that when I retired in 2002, I would have something because I couldn't live on my retirement, retiring at 42 years old, but I wanted to raise my kids. And God kept putting curves in front of me, and I was like, "No, seriously, I need something." Tish and exercise. My degree's in computer science.
What are you doing, God? What's
Oh,
going
yeah.
on here?
Yeah. What's going on? Exercise, eating healthy. That's funny. So the rest is history. I bought my Huntsville Curves August of 2000, opened my Willis Curves as a brand new territory in June of 2001, and
Wow.
retired in April of 2002, and been doing both curves ever since. And just, I had so much fun changing people's lives, being with my kids, having freedom, staying healthy.
I think what really makes this conversation so exciting because for us, and I want to talk about, if you're okay, I think we should just go there. One of the things about matured women, we feel like starting over, we can't do this because, oh, look at my age. You started a whole new career. You decided, okay, I'm going to try a different path. Even for myself, I went down a whole new, different direction and a path. This is new for me. One of the things that I think is so important for women is just to get out of your head space and just go for it. We spend so much times with the what ifs.
I was very blessed. My parents are amazing. They back in those days, I think my dad was super excited. I had a computer science degree. He wanted me to be a tax attorney, all this kind of stuff. And when I started to retire and I had my plan, he was not real happy. He thought it was too shaky. He thought it was, and he wasn't the what if type. And he told me, he said, whatever you do, and this is how we were raised, and I was what, 40 at the time. He said, whatever you do, I don't want to ever hear you complain one day. You make that decision, you live with it, you move forward, you make the best. There is no what ifs because that door's closed,
Yes.
and we just build our life. Now, have I had what ifs? Oh, amen, sister. Good gosh, almighty. March of 20. Oh my goodness. We closed our doors thinking we were closed for 2 weeks.
My God.
Two months later, we got to open. But again, we had just introduced an online product in November of 19.
And that's what people don't get. The plan, you just have to go through the process because the plan is already set there. He's just waiting. God is just waiting on us to just get on board. It's kind of like being, and I always give this example, it's kind of like being at a train station. So, when you're at the train station and you're waiting on the train to come by, the doors, when the train gets there, the conductor says, all aboard. Are you going to get on the train or are you going to stay off the train? Well, the train is only going to stay in that station for a little bit. Those that get on board is going to travel to the next level. Those that stay out, they're still waiting on that chance, but that train is going to keep going. We have to get to this place in life that we're willing to get on board and trust the process.
Trust the process. And, I think this was when you and I were talking before we started, but getting out of that headspace of
Yes.
messing up. I
Oh
raised
my God.
both my kids. You learn to laugh at yourself, and
Right.
nobody can laugh at you. and we would do silly things out in public when they were little to say, look, you're still alive,
Yes.
laugh. People think you're odd. Own it, and don't let people I won't even get
Well,
started.
I think you're onto something right there. We get so caught up in how other people view us. And when we're doing that, all we're doing is allowing them to stifle us. We're doing something that they wish they had the courage to do.
Now you're
You
talking.
know, and the one thing that I had to learn about myself, God has already equipped me with all the tools that I need. And the ones that I need as I go down this journey, He's going to provide those for me. So I just need to just trust the process, believe in myself, and keep going. And that's the message I really want us to share and kind of convey to our listeners today, especially women of all ages, but especially I want to talk to women of that's in the older generation. I want to share with us, when you get to the age of your late 40s, your 50s, life is not over.
It's
uh,
beginning.
it is beginning. We're at a point in our life. I'll let you share with me. When you were in your 30s, did you think you had life figured out?
I think when we're in our 30s, we're so dang busy, we don't have a choice. I
You're
mean, we
right.
just think we're going. And I love how you said that about the age, because I bet, when I was 40, I thought 60 was old. Okay.
Yes.
And let me
Yes.
tell you, this is what's so connecting. When I was 40 and joined Curves, there were 60-year-old women working out. Now, did I know their age? No, not really. But I was like, okay, that's cool. Well, now I'm 62, and those women are 82 and
Yes.
working out
Yes.
still. And I'm like,
Yes.
that's why I'm still at Curves. That's why I want to keep doing something. That's what makes a difference. We want to, and I always challenge people. Somebody goes, oh, everybody I know is working out. I was like, really? When you stand up to sing at church, who can't stand up? Who pushes on their legs? We
Right.
need to think about quality of life.
And people really, as we age, and really, and we're going to get to the younger generation, but I want to really kind of stay here because we don't do much of celebrating. And I don't even want to call us seniors, because we're really not seniors yet. When I see seniors, is when you're ready to retire and you're sitting down for a minute. That's where I consider a senior. And so it doesn't have an age. It's just, I think, a position in life.
I think it's
Um,
at a funeral.
yes, I totally agree. I always say, when they say to me, you need to rest, I say, I'll rest when I die. Long as God's given me the strength to keep pushing forward, that's what I'm going to do. But I really want to talk about working out in curves and what curves have to offer. And I know we have some listeners on here saying, why is she doing a podcast with someone that owns curves? Because when I think about our demographics really speaks to a broad range of people. We have young listeners as well as some seasoned listeners. And so this podcast is really for women, and women of all ages. And I don't even want to just say women. I guess I can say men, because it's about taking care of yourself. And the one thing that I have learned, and Tish and I have talked about it, we're going to work something out of here, because we got to get the younger generation involved too. Because what's happening with people taking care of their bodies, they're thinking they need to run over to Mexico, or they need to go over to Miami and get all these different things done with their bodies. And I'm not saying that you can't. You do what you have to do, but let's start with exercising. Let's start with trying to do it naturally first. Don't say it doesn't work for you. Don't say workout fitness is not what you want to do. Just try it. Just find something that you want to try. You want to dig in on that a little bit?
Well, and I love how you said it really isn't an age thing, but just like you said, in my 30s, from 25 to 40, we're working full time, raising our kids. If we have a side job, all that kind of stuff, and women are caregivers, and we
Right.
don't take care of ourselves.
Yes.
And so then the ones that take time to quote go to a gym, they think, oh my gosh, I got to do all this, whatever's trendy, whatever's the most popular. They try it, they
Mm-hmm.
burn out, or they hurt themselves, or
Yes.
they okay. So
Yes.
what I did when I joined Curves, I didn't know what Curves was, but what I found out was strength training. That's the secret sauce. Strength training gives us that lean muscle that women want and need, because then we can do whatever else it is we want to do.
Yes, that's it.
One of my managers climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh
That
God.
is not for me. Okay. But 20 years later, I'm now jogging a little bit. Whereas I always tell people, if you see me running, you better run because something's chasing me and I'm just going to get somebody. It was not,
Right.
yeah, it was not something I wanted to do. But I'm glad you mentioned the younger too. We have a new technology, not to get into curves as much, but just health. We have a new technology we're using in the club that our coaches work with your target heart rate, and we
Yes.
gamify it. So this 25-year-old working out and this 80-year-old working out, of course their target heart rates are different, but they can still get that green
Mm-hmm.
number,
Yes.
and celebrate together that they're working out. And we work so well with all ages, but also that last thing you said about learning to be who we are. One other thing I thought of before we change subjects. I'm in a social media sorority type group networking thing, and there's a lot of younger mothers, young kids, and some of the conversations. And my kids are 35 and 29 now, or 36 and 29 now. And I say, y'all, I've been there and I understand what y'all are saying, but I promise it's the memories, it's the time. Don't let our culture think you have to outdo and
Right.
just spend time. And as we do that, then we take care of ourselves because we're not so hard on ourselves mentally as well as physically, because it all works together. And if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of other people.
And one of the things is so true that you're saying that, because one of the things that I think we do so much of is compensating. I think back to me in my 30s, like you said, my 20s, my 30s. I was so busy. So really, and I was just eating on the go, making sure everybody was okay. And then I looked up in my 40s and I was like, oh my God, what happened to me? What happened to me is life. And I put everything in front of me. So then 50s came around and I said, uh-uh. I am not let life cover me up anymore. I am going to take care of me. I'm going to do what I have to do to take care of me. And so I've made a conscious decision. And I think it's so important that we make a conscious decision that we want to continue to live healthy and live fulfilled. And when I hear people say, oh, she thinks, or women, oh, she thinks she's younger, she's trying to be like a teen. No, you're just trying to be healthy and happy. And as the weight comes off, then it's almost like a light comes on, and you start to see yourself differently. You start to care about yourself more. You start to fix yourself up. Your speech, everything that you do changes. And so when I hear women or people saying, oh, I don't worry about that, that doesn't bother me. I used to say those very same things. I used to say, well, I feel good about myself. And then I go in my quiet moment and I get in that little closet we have. And I secretly was disgusted at myself. And the only way that can change, or only way that changed, is when I changed my mentality. And so that's why it was so important for me to get on here and talk with you about curves. You know, I never tried curves, but I'm excited that you and I are going to do something, because I think I want the younger generation to, my team here, to experience curves, because I think that's where the market has passed, because they have so many different gyms out there. Yeah, and I'm not saying anyone is better than the other. I'm saying just keep going.
There
But
you go.
you understand what I'm saying? Just
Absolutely. Do something. I
do
mean, literally
something.
do something. And I'm super excited because it's who would have ever thought 22 years ago I'd still, I mean, like I said, my world was computer science, analytics. It's so funny to be in this world now. And I love it because I'm still helping people. I
Right.
wrote software, I wrote code to help people to solve
Right.
problems. I'm getting to do that and I love it. We're fixing to have our 30th birthday convention. Curves is
Wow.
30 years old and I've
30.
owned it for 22. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so, so cool. But you talked about mindset. And again, I tell my mom, I said, we all remember thinking nobody's family was normal and we joked about everybody's families and all this. But one thing I am just the older I get, the more I realize how amazingly blessed I was is that mindset. I've
Yes.
always been a big, and most of your listeners probably won't even know that I was a big Zig Ziglar fan and listened to all the positive affirmations and believe in yourself and that type of thing. And it got me far in school and it got me involved in things. But when you talked about your mental, I
Yes.
gotta throw this in. We literally every 30 seconds we're playing positive affirmations at Curves because women hear so much our world hears so much negativity.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
just another little thing we do. So we aren't for everybody, like you said. People are looking for different things, whatever, but just do something and don't give up on yourself. You mentioned that going to Mexico, quote unquote, to get those different things. I've had a couple of members over the years that have had, well, I'll just say it, have had the gastric bypass surgery. And the ones that do it, that go to reputable doctors, they make them go to psychological counseling.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you don't fix this, not a darn thing's going to make a difference.
Because you're going to still bring those same bad habits back in, and then you're going to look up and you're going to say the weight is all there. So it starts with you fixing those broken things on the inside. You have to address it. I mean, I don't care what you say, you have to address it. And I think one of the things that I've enjoyed, and I enjoyed every time we talk, you're so transparent and you're so authentic. And one of the things, and you guys have no idea why I'm saying this, but I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent again. We have recorded this podcast a couple of times at no fault to Tish. Anybody that knows anything about a technology, if you've done podcasts, if you've done, there are sometimes you get it right, everything is perfect, and there are other times when it just goes the way it wants to go, and it just don't work out. But the one thing that I love about Tish, and I enjoy talking to her, she truly embodied this title, work on it. So she worked on it with us while we worked on it behind the scenes until we got it right, because she really do believe and support the Love and Victory show with Val. As she has supported us, I want to support her. Tish, tell them the name of your curves. I mean, exactly where they can find you and
Sure.
how could they get hooked up with you today?
Well, let me tell you something first, and you may or may not remember this. The way, again, you just Google God Works, whatever you want to call it. I found your program because there had been some things, and Stephen reached out to me, and I went on your site. And the very first podcast I listened to was when you interviewed the professional clown. And he talked about emotions. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this lady. I got to get to know. I mean, I got to listen to more. I've watched some, because that's me. And it's so funny because people say, why do you tell people when you mess up? Or why do you? And I was like, who cares?
Who
Why
cares?
do I try to be something I'm not? But anyway, your show's awesome. And we all have luggage, and if
Yes.
we don't deal with it, it's gonna hurt us the rest of our lives. Curves and my two are in Huntsville and Conroe, Texas. Huntsville is on 75, and we're a 30-minute women's workout, strength training with classes and different stuff. But you walk in the door, and 30 minutes later, you're done. That's what I like. You don't even have to be there. It's not a quote unquote specific time. As long as you walk in while we're open, 30 minutes later, you walk out. Conroe, again, kind of a nightmare that turned into such a blessing. I was in Willis for 17 years and I lost my parking lot because TDC, wow, Texas Department of Transportation was expanding the highway. So we lost our location. And I was like, oh my gosh, this was right during some very traumatic times in my life. I was losing my father and I couldn't deal with anything. Anything. The
Wow.
staff was amazing. My husband was amazing. We moved, we opened at this new location during the worst time of my life.
Wow.
And that we opened the worst month of my life to this day in September of 18. And let me tell you, we got recognized at the convention the next year for the fastest growing club because of our new location.
Isn't that amazing how it's something that seems so um, life altering, and you
Yes,
think it's going to take you out, really ends up taking you to the whole next level. You know,
absolutely.
you just stayed in there, even though you were dealing with everything that you were dealing with. You just trusted the process, stayed in there, and look at what God did for you.
Absolutely. And Facebook brings up some of those videos of us building out that building every once in a while on reminders. And I tell my staff, I said, y'all, we were having some good times hiding in boxes and acting silly and all sorts of stuff. And I said, I barely remember that then.
Yes,
But I'm
yes.
so glad to see. I knew how great they were, but it's so much fun to say, you know what, this too shall pass.
And we got through it. We got through it. And I think things happen and you want to just fall apart. I've had those, even now. I've had those moments where I feel like, oh my God, I uh, I don't know if I can make this work. I don't know. And God always allow us. He gives us the strength to keep pressing forward. It's gonna be okay. We just have to trust. I want to say, work on it. This work on it conversation is exactly what I needed this morning. I came in this morning and I had to tell my team, I am just so grateful for them because they come in with such great energy and they're just so excited when they walk through the doors. And it's people like you and people like them that make me feel like what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I thank you so much, Tish. I know that I have taken up your time, so much of your time.
No, no, no problem. And we're going to get together and work out.
Yes. And so
We're publicly saying it.
but what I want to say again to our wonderful listeners, I want you all to understand, we just want you to work on it, get started. It's never too late, and we're not saying how much or where you need to go. We just want you to work on that healthy space in your head, in your heart, and then in your body. Once we do
Absolutely.
that, we become a new, complete person. And working on it doesn't have to be something dramatic. Don't get intimidated with all of the big gyms and the people's bodies that are fit, and you're going to look at it and say, "Oh my God, I got so much to do." I promise you, if you just start doing something, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. Thank you, Tish, for being so transparent. Thank you for just supporting the Love and Victory show. And we want to send a special love your way from the team. So I love you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I have something coming your way today. I got to get yes, don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. Just look for it. Look for it.
Okay.
Look for it.
Awesome. All right.
Bye.
Look
Bye.
forward. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you,
Enjoyed it.
dog. All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.